we've got a little problem here with the Trans Am. Don't actually have a battery tray. It's just sitting currently on the core support there, little bracket, and we need an actual tray. Now, the original tray would have sat on the driver's side, but because the LS starter is on the passenger side, I moved everything over here for a shorter connection to the battery. That's besides the point. You can move the battery tray to this side, but there's not one on this side either. So we're gonna get some measurements here, and I'm gonna draw something up, get a little design going, and then we'll make an actual battery tray for this thing. Alright, and so what I've got here is I've got some measurements, and these correlate with 2 holes there, and then there's 2 holes down there, and then how far apart those are is what all these measurements mean. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take the same material, which is called ram board. It's kind of like a thin cardboard thing. Think like cereal box, but you can actually buy it in a roll at, I bought it at Lowe's, but any big box store will have something similar. Anyway, I'm going to actually use this and make a pattern of, you know, how the shape of everything's going to be, and then we can actually use that to make our base for which we'll mount everything else off of. So let me go ahead and whip that up, and then we'll get moving. First half down. Now I just gotta do the other side, and all I've been doing is I'm actually using my camera lens cover to round the corners, and straight edge or square, tape measure, and that gets me this based off the measurements I have. Now I'm gonna have to go in and trim what I need or don't need, I guess, over here, and do the other side. And then we should be able to actually bolt it in as a test piece and see what we need to do going from there. So let's do it. Now that we got the template down here made, we can actually transfer it to metal. As you can see, it's fitting up pretty good. I gotta make the bolt holes so it can actually bolt in, but I didn't want to cut those out yet, so I can actually get a good proper center punch on it. So, all right, let's go transfer it to metal. Well, I'm glad I caught that in time after bending it, because I still have one shot to put some beads in here. And it's not the way I wanted to originally, but we'll be able to put at least some straight beads, probably just along the tape line here. And I might do one in the middle. We'll see how it looks after the first two. Alright, so I'm just going to try to start on the edge of this tape line. And then once I feel it touch down, just going to do 1, 2, 3, and we'll do 4 turns and see how that turns out. It's got somewhat of a bead there. Alright, let's do the other side. Start it in the middle of the tape line. Might do a second pass, we'll see. Yeah, very light beads, so let's try to do a second pass here. Yeah, now we can see a defined bead. Alright, so we'll do these 2 passes here and then move on to the next step. Alright, it's fitting pretty good. It might need to tweak it a little bit right there and some over there, but it's little stuff. For the most part, it's sitting in there. It's looking pretty good. So I think I'm going to call it a night for now. It's pretty dark out here. When we get back to it, gonna make the top part, finish making this. You know the drill. So I'll see you in a couple seconds. Alright, we're going to run some riv nuts down into the body here so we can actually attach it, and then we'll go from there, adjusting stuff and whatnot, and making the top bracket. So I've got the tray down in there, bolted loosely, and I got the battery sitting in here with the terminals just loosely on there. There's a slot back here, right there, and I'm thinking we could actually use that for a piece that would slide in through there, have a little hook on the end of it. It will come across the battery, and there'll be a little threaded piece that'll go down with a wing nut, and then when you tighten that, it'll kind of pivot against that slot, lock everything in place. And what I have here is a 3D printed die that I made for pressing into steel or aluminum, and that'll give us like a little TA kind of bit on top, add a little bit of character. And so now what I need to figure out is how I'm going to make it all work together, and we'll do that now. Alright, and now we have this little template here, which is just giving us our length and then a rough bend profile. So we're going to go ahead and transfer this over to aluminum. I got a piece of aluminum here wedged between a bunch of blocks and the die, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it a couple pumps and see what happens here. Hopefully something good, and I don't end up destroying my die. go ahead and release the pressure here. Let's see what we... Okay. We didn't do too bad. It's very faint, but it is there. I think we can do another round and might be able to get that looking a whole lot better. All right. All right. That's a lot better. Just went ahead and cut out the shape, and I guess it got lost in footage or whatever, but here we go. And we have that piece now, kind of roughed in. Still need to take a hand file and maybe some sandpaper to it, but got it roughed in. Now, there we go. There we go. All right. Yeah, I'm going to take a hand file to this real quick and some sandpaper, smooth it out a little bit more, and then we'll get to bending that. Put this initial bend in. Now we got both of these pieces, and then I have the threaded rod over there drying, so we're going to go ahead and sand these, get them ready for paint, shoot them, put it all together. If it'll stop spinning on me, we can get a half decent coat here. Okay. It's a high budget paint booth right here. Oh yeah. Alright, now that we got a couple coats of paint on here, it's not perfect. I got some dust in it whenever I was wiping stuff down, but for a battery tray, I'm going to go ahead and bolt it in, and we'll see what it looks like all together. First part done. Let's get the battery in. Alright, well, change of plans mid-operation here. I was going to put the top plate on as it was, and I realized that with the gloss finish that was originally on it, especially in the sun, the letters were really hard to see and everything kind of blended together. So I decided to strip the top and put a satin finish on it, and now the letters really pop in the light. So one change that I made along the way. Another change that I'm going to make is to the actual hold down screw, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to actually add a little bit of heat shrink tubing on the end of each wing, and I think what that's going to do is kind of give you a little bit softer grip whenever you're tightening it down, as well as the heat shrink won't get affected by the chemicals on your hands or whatever versus the paint that's on here. So even though it's engine enamel, I think the heat shrink tubing will be a good play. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do real quick. And so I'm going to go ahead, we're going to put some heat shrink, and then I was letting you know about that. So, all right. And with that, we now have ourselves some heat shrink. I decided to put some down here too, just because, why not? It's kind of hard to see and focus here. But now we got little pads for your fingers to go on and stay protected from the paint, or the paint protected from, you get what I'm saying. And as you can see here, it got a little dark on me outside, but looking pretty good. We got our little TA hold down. When you come up on the engine bay, there you go.